Всем привет, коллеги. Вас не так много, как я думал, но достаточно, чтобы уже был кворум.
Not so many of you, but there is sufficient number of people here for a quorum. Let's first applaud to everyone who knows something about security and automation.
Это было бы странно, если было...
Information sec, infosec, cybersecurity. There are some people sitting here who are a little bit aware of such a topic, and nice that there are some people who know about its automation. Number one, and I will speak about not such a standard approach to it. So we'll start with the problems first. What would be the topic? Why would we speak about it? Why we actually need it? Well, first of all, there are plenty of things, and a lot of people in different companies have faced with the situation that there are plenty of systems, a little bit more, a little bit less, a little bit more than more and less. There are plenty of systems, but not too many people who service these systems. And there is a funny situation sometimes with the cyber incident that needs investigation and reaction. And what are we supposed to do then? And here's the story starts. So the security expert runs and rushes to one of the colleagues of his, to an IT manager, rushes with the need to get access to Exchange, with the need to get logs from CM, etc., go through it, figure it out, and find people who have been touched upon this phishing attack, for instance. And it takes a lot of time, and not always there would be people in place with whom you need to interact. So basically here I've tried to come up with a certain number of systems that can be utilized in an organization, in a company, and find the problems that the IT expert may face, the IT security expert. Lack of hands and lack of time, that's the main one. And sometimes those who defend the security people, the hired individuals, are those who work on a standard 8-day-long working hour day. Sometimes it may get longer, sometimes you just need to work overtime and on weekends, but anyway. But you're not just sitting there if you work on such a standard schedule. You need to think about other aspects of developing cybersecurity in the company. You basically don't have time, but the red party, the attackers, always make sure that they have sufficient resources for their attacks. And the goals that the attackers would pursue previously were money, technology, and personal data. Over the last year, everyone understands why it's all about. And we have a fully fledged cyber war conducted with the states, and there are attacks on cyber systems of an entire country or countries, and there are maybe some things that are used for military interests. Definitely it loads the security experts even more, and they would have to spend even more time, like standard tasks. Except for that, they would just have to get their roots in the routine. They drown in the routine with these DDoS attacks. But what are we supposed to do with all that stuff? What can help us out of that maze? Of course, you can outsource it. You can find a company in the cybersecurity field, the providers coming up with solutions, experts, knowledge, tools, so that they can resolve these tasks effectively. And they do it well, and they are doing great. But if we analyze the domains, people, money, tools that can be used here, and the time would spend using all these solutions, seems like that moving to different software due to a lot of vendors leaving the country, and they cannot extend the support and buy new licenses. And there are many other aspects that they cannot utilize these vendors any longer. So here is a picture that this outsource implies the use of expensive experts. It's an OPEX model. So when you outsource whatever you outsource, not all of the companies can actually afford it. A lot of companies can buy it through their CapEx only. And external providers and the suppliers of these services sometimes have limited technologies, and they use a certain set of their solutions, their own homegrown solutions that are based upon open source solutions. Anyway, this set is very limited, and you cannot do much about it because normally the supplier would not adjust to just one customer, they will be adjusted to the whole market. So we'll be speaking about these outsourced projects, and there'll be a lot of time spent on communication. So experts really work well, but they require a lot of time to understand where is everything and who's got different access rights and what business processes do work and which business processes do not work, etc. It's an ongoing process, and when we have some new tasks and when we have some new challenges, it will repeat. It's the same when we always distract the experts inside the company. And if we're speaking about replacing the software, there may be some conflicts growing when the supplier, the provider, comes up to you providing a service, and then it turns out that there is a conflict of a software with a hardware, and you don't have any other option to change anything for anything because the provider doesn't have anything else. And you won't be able to say no to the solution you've already bought, and you cannot mitigate such risks either. With automation, there's a much wider capability. You don't have to expend and spend. You don't have to spend on money and equipment. You don't need to look for it. And the people are in short supply these days all over the world, and great experts are in short supply. A lot of them have left our country for various reasons. So the question is really acute. There's a lack of people, and you need to tackle this issue quickly. You don't need to expend your staff here with this option. It's also OPEX and CAPEX based with the automated solution. You can get this SOAR IRP. It's flexible. You can have limited licenses. You have endless licenses. The processes are automated, and this SOAR response solution, automation solutions are flexible because they would have to be embedded really well into the existing infrastructure and make friends with other people. So, apart from that, in terms of time, it will not there will be no miracle so that you'll buy this automation system and it will start working immediately. You just need to understand how to check and verify everything. You need to spend time on it, and you just need to spend this time once in a very wisely way and go through your cybersecurity processes, and you'll understand which processes are really working, which ones are you are using, and which ones you're not using. So that's a very important thing if we prioritize these processes. So you have an advantage here as well. So one final point when you move to a different software. If the company at a certain point in time decides that instead of one solution they'd use a different one, if they would like to use a different firewall, any system will do. And here it's all about the so-called connectors. Whether you read it from the base, whether you just use a transport solution and they can be adjusted so that when you move to one to another, you won't have any negative impact from that. So it's a flexible solution and it's very resilient to changes. And here's a non-standard cybersecurity access. I based it upon the fact that a very long time ago it was all invented for us. There is a thing entitled NIST, National Standard and Technologies, cybersecurity as a continuous process, which is an endless ring which is made up of 5 stages.
Самый первый из них – это идентификация.
The first one of them being identification. First, we'll try to accelerate. So what we're going to do, protect against, what we're going to have war against. Identification is that we find what we have, where they do lie, where they do exist.
Что мы будем защищать. Дальше, соответственно, второй этап – это защита, то есть прорабатывается.
Then the next stage is the defense. We figure out the defense methods.
Мы поняли, над чем нам нужно чахнуть. Дальше
We understand what we have, what we need to work on, and we identify the methods. After that, monitoring comes into place, and the more continuous the monitoring is, the better. Because people tend to fall asleep, fall ill, etc., etc. And here you just need to have a 365, 24/7 monitoring, and it's the next NIST task. Then the reaction. What we're going to do if there's a horrendous thing occurs, if we have monitored something horrendous. Well, in this particular case, we have this reaction. And one final point is the recovery. So, for example, if there is something horrible occurred, if we could not detect this attack, we just need to make up with some activities that it does not repeat. So it will be simpler next time to get rid of it. So this paradigm fits with this good automation idea. Any SOAR solution in our security vision, we have a few modules on this platform, and they are all about tackling certain problems, NIST problems. Have this IT assets audit. We have a scanner which helps you find the perimeter information, find the information from different sources, EDR solutions, agents information. You can parse it all and add it to the list of your assets you need to protect. Automated rules list tackles the methods of protection. What will be done if a certain attack occurs? A, B, C. What happens if we know that in a certain way this account will have a higher privilege, higher access rights, it may be blocked. So these blocks are set at this particular stage. In terms of monitoring, we have this monitoring and we know it with all the notification in the Telegram channel, etc., etc. Apart from that, we also have some reporting. Reporting that you can get live and find out how the tasks are unveiling. In terms of reacting in the automated mode, it happens in the automated mode because all of these playbooks help us react on time, and basically they help by collecting certain sources of data from net intelligence platform, from different Google scan platforms, VirusTotal. People are aware of these resources. There are plenty of them. There are some different bulletins. There could be stack bulletins, etc. So we gather it all together, we combine, we enrich these things, and we can conduct an investigation, identify why this has happened, so that we prevent this from happening in the future. One final thing is looking for traces and cleanup. So this system is capable of interacting with an exchange server. So, for example, if there is a phishing event, you can automate that. If we have a phishing mail, you can automatically send all of these mails to the bin or to the sandbox. You can launch the antivirus scan. So it's all done working with the SOR system, and it covers all these NIST points. So these are the main things. And I would like to highlight this next point, the things that we did discuss previously, some practical security aspects, that SOAR, the applied security, the things that we are analyzing, the analysis of threats, and the data sent and the data reception, and also there's some strategic security, some security which lies on paper, on very important documents that write about how we're going to act in a certain situation, in a certain way. It describes our standards. It will increase the level of our readiness. There are different solutions that are available here, like compliance, security compliance. Here we evaluate the risks, we do the audits, we need to comply with different GOSTs and standards. This is the system which may be a part of the SOAR. It may be a part of a huge system which addresses the cybersecurity issues. So all of the blocks and business units can be automated and can be put in one system. They may be sent for the checkup and verification, and this will help us identify whether the information security system is good enough, is grown enough in the company, whether it meets all the necessary requirements or not. Just a couple of words about this.
Или, скажем так, принято уже давным-давно, что есть несколько, опять же, уровней зрелости.
Levels of completion. Initial, repeated, defined, managed, and optimized. There are different companies like huge enterprises that have entire divisions, security divisions. At a certain stage, they may go through a certain process, and this process is made up of realizing what they have. So what I started with, there are plenty of systems and there's just one poor security guy. He gathers it together in manual mode and processes it all in the manual mode. It's a very inefficient beginner level of security where it would be very difficult to react, especially if there are dozens and dozens of events occurring. So basically, the security guy starts ignoring some of the obvious aspects, and it may lead to fatal errors. The next thing they go through is when we have the SIAM system, when everything is aggregated in one single SIAM system. We have lots of events, and the question is, what are we going to do about it next? We have the SIAM system, that there is a threat, there's an alert, something else has happened, or there is a bad activity running, so you just need to manually go and do something about it. So the SIAM system centralizes and aggregates things and highlights some things. So basically, it reacts even more frequently. So this umbrella system may have this SOAR added. It is the more top-level system which will be getting the SIAM information, and cybersecurity SOAR will be normally automatically filter these things. Let's take this example with phishing. For example, there is a mail that has been sent to 50 people in the company. You just need to read this mail, you just need to put it in the sandbox, check the file attached, check the URL or URLs. You can either do it manually, and the investigation of the incident normally takes 70 to 80 minutes approximately, because you just need to warn everyone, you just need to run an investigation. It's a lengthy process, but in terms of getting this SOAR solution, the investigation of that with SOAR would take from 5 to 6 minutes, because many things are done in the automated fashion on this level. The notification, the creation of the report, etc., all these things are done in the routine way, and it's not supposed to be conducted in the manual way. And you do not spend too much time on that. It will help a lot those who work in cybersecurity. These are the advantages of automation. You work in one single window, you don't have to dig into different systems, you cut down time on investigation by dozens of times, because all of the steps that you do on your own, you automate them. You don't need to have to wait for the access to the system. You don't need to ask for permission to provide you with the access rights and ask if they have the right to provide you the data. You automatically enrich data from different sources. You can get feeds. You, of course, reduce the impact of the human error, and you get automated reports set up to your templates. It can be created automatically, and you get a fully fledged report which will highlight everything you need, what data has been collected, which activities has been conducted, and what's the result. I'm done. Thank you very much. I'm available here. I'll be around until very late.